Hey, welcome everyone to the Everything Canada Soccer podcast, episode 4. Here, your host, Jordy, with Felipe.
Hey.
And hope you guys are having a great day. Hopefully, this lighting, oh my gosh, this lighting's terrible. Hopefully, you guys are doing all right. I gotta admit, I'm a little bit not hungover because I don't drink, but I'm like in terms of tiredness and like overall energy just from last night's game. My voice is kind of recovered. I couldn't talk last night, but I don't. I'm just super tired. Are you tired, Felipe? You probably got home late.
Yeah, I got home late and I woke up early like I always do, so I will go to bed early tonight, you know.
Yeah.
But hey man, like definitely a good game, like disappointing for us, but good game.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Super not, disappointed in the result more than the actual performance itself. I mean,
Yeah,
the cavalry.
absolutely.
Yeah, the cavalry. They did so well. They did so well against a Whitecap side that probably underperformed. To be honest, I mean, just that goal from Myron Bevan. I still can't get over that. That happened on our side, right beside us. Just
Yeah,
greatest goal I've
absolutely.
ever seen live. That's for sure.
If you're listening and you wanna check it out, put on YouTube, go to One Soccer, check it out there. It's a beauty. It's a
Oh,
beauty.
such a good goal.
I
But we'll get.
honestly I thought the ball was going out, like when he did the,
Hmm.
the the dribble and then spin his body and kicked it, I was like, oh, this is out. And then I
Yeah.
just see bouncing on the corner of the post and then going right. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, right? It's like
Um,
that middle space where it's like you don't know if it's gonna go out, but
yep.
it doesn't it's not confirmed to be going on target, so it's
Because he
the
kind of
whole
curved
stadium is
outside
silent.
too, right? Like he kicked and he curved
Yeah,
outside a bit. So
I still
that
can't
was
get over
beauty,
it.
a beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game when we get to our Canadian Championship section, but just wanna go over the last weekend in terms of results and how everyone fared. And I went over it pretty quickly in my power rankings. So going forward, I'm not going to really touch too much on the last weekend that happened in the Canadian Premier League and Major League Soccer for our three Canadian teams that are there. But we'll still address it slightly. But going forward, power rankings. If you want to look at what happened on the weekend, that's where you go from now on. Okay, perfect. So Pacific FC. No, sorry, I was looking at the standings. My bad. So surprise, surprise. Halifax Wanderers, the so-called underrated team, lost 4-0 to Forge at home. How? I was not expecting
Yeah.
that because I'm going to pull up our predictions from last week. So we both predicted that
A
Halifax were
tie.
actually going to win that.
Oh, Halifax are gonna win.
Yeah, we both predicted that Halifax were going to take that game. And
Damn.
wow, we were so far from the
I'm glad I
truth.
don't gamble.
Yeah, no, right. But I don't like it was just a completely dominant performance from Forge. Like it's
Yep.
like from like Halifax were had some chances at the beginning which could have made it 1-0, which could have changed the game entirely. But in all honesty, from then on, Forge just took control of the game. It takes them a while to get warmed up, but once Forge warms up, there's rarely any team that can really match them par for par. So I mean, in terms of if we want to go over statistics, I mean, it kind of hurts. Besides possession, Forge dominated in every aspect.
Yep.
Shots 18-7, shots on target 10 to 2, and just overall just dominant. They were in their attacking zone all the time. Just never really let Halifax get into a good rhythm or give them any chance. Did you get a chance to watch the highlights or anything along those lines, Felipe?
I did, and it's what you said. By the highlights itself, it seems like was a dominant performance, like even not just in volume of offense, but also in control of all possession. So yeah, I felt like I felt kind of disappointed at Halifax, to be honest. I had a bit of higher expectations to them, and for some reason this season I don't want Forge to even make to the playoffs because I don't know. They just won too many times before. I just want
Yeah.
different teams, you know what I mean? Like to have the opportunity and make their fans happy. So
No,
yeah,
I agree. I think it would be cool to see, like, not just obviously for as a Cavalry fan, I want Cavalry to make it, but in terms of like a neutral point of view, it would be cool not to see Cavalry and Forge not make it, just to see so we can see just a different sort of group of
yep,
teams go in, just for like in terms of like the league's health and everything.
yep,
But anyway,
absolutely.
we'll move on from that match. move on to which one was next. Was it the? It was the
Pacific
Pacific
in
New
New
York
York,
game. Yeah,
boring match. Uh,
boring. Yeah,
that one, to
sorry.
be honest with you, I started watching and then it was really bad football,
Yeah,
and I stopped watching after
yeah,
watch for 25 minutes. I'm like, okay, because it was Friday night late. I was
yeah,
like, you know what? I'm gonna go out with my wife. This is not enough. It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
worth it my time right now.
Ah, that's fine. No,
But
hey, and that could have been a lot of others. Like the viewers probably feel like that was definitely like their whole perspective. Unless you are a Pacific fan or York fan,
hey man,
then
look at this. Like there were shots, but like looking at statistics like they were doing before, like there was literally the whole game 4 or 3 shots or on target, literally.
yeah.
And there was a lot of shots, but it was a lot of passing around. You know what I mean? Like not a
Hmm.
lot of effective plays. Not a lot of creativity on the offense side of the field. So yeah, I don't know, just boring game.
Yeah. So we'll quickly go by that and then move on to a bit more of an exciting game. Maybe not game, but exciting last 10 minutes of the game. So Cavalry and Valor, for most of the time, I was at work during this. So I was only able to get a notification from the app that I usually use. And so there's absolutely nothing was happening for the longest time. And then all of a sudden I get a notification saying that Meyer Bevin scored in the 85th minute penalty. I'm like, yes, let's go get the 3 points in. And then I get it, and then I get to work, get busy at the store, and then I feel another buzz on my watch, and then I
Like a
look
Duke
at it,
Bay,
and it says Adekugbe,
not a
93rd
Cook Bay.
minute. I'm like, wait, what just happened? And it said 2-1. I was like, wait, when did they score
Yeah,
their goal? So I came home, watched the highlights, saw that we had finally scored in the 85th minute, but then they had been awarded a penalty. They scored that in the 90th, and within just a couple minutes, Elijah Adekugbe, from the depths of an injury, he's been struggling for a while. If anyone's close to him understands that he's been struggling for a while now, trying to get back into form. Watching his brother on international duty do so well and break through, he must be thinking like, man, like I just can't catch a break. And then here he is on Saturday scoring a 93rd minute winner to win the game for Cavalry, which is a big 3 points because in terms of like the standings, if we remember, they were all at there was a bunch of teams just at sitting at 8 points, and that catapults Cavalry up to second along with Atletico Madrid. Sorry, not Atletico Madrid, Atletico Ottawa. My bad. It's the same name essentially. But no, it was cool.
but
Were
not
you
the
able
same
to?
team.
Yeah, just a little bit off. But did you get to watch that game? Because it was definitely exciting. The ending.
Yeah, like I did not watch the game to be completely honest, but I did watch the highlights. And I was on the goal on Saturday, but I kind of checked the phone when it was 1-1, and I thought the
Mhm.
game was done. Like was 89, 89, 90. So like right after the penalty for Valor, just check on
Mhm.
my app, and I was like, okay, it's a tie. And then I go home and I checked. I was like, oh, it's not a tie. Um, so yeah, exciting for us. Good victory, like said, like something that there are a bunch of teams fighting for those 3 spots right there. I think
Mhm.
Pacific it's almost secured in if they keep similar form they were for the past month or two.
Mhm. Yeah.
But another thing to mention that's good, it's every time the Pacific slacks or tie or lose, teams that are trying to fight for the second spot or trying to take over the first, they need to be winning, right? And
Yeah.
Valor was one of those teams a couple weeks ago. So beating them, it's like you're beating a direct competitor, and I feel like that was the advantage of
Yeah.
winning this game.
Yeah. No, I think Cavalry and Valor are in similar positions in terms of
Yeah,
what spots that they're fighting for, especially with it being so cramped. I mean, we have to mention both them and Forge have 6 games played, which means if they both win their games at hand, then it's a four-way tie for second at the moment.
yeah,
So, and if all of them win their next games and we're all level with Pacific FC at 8 games played, then they're only 3 points off of Pacific. So it doesn't look super close on the table, but it is a lot closer than it actually looks.
yeah.
Probably feels a lot closer because you're like, well, we're only one win away from being being one win away from knocking off the boys at the top. So no, very crucial win for Cavalry. For Valor, it's not too bad because they do have that game at hand and 2 games at hand on Pacific, so there's room for them to make up
Yeah.
for it all. Last game of the week was Atletico Ottawa not Atletico Madrid, Atletico Ottawa versus FC Edmonton. And I feel bad for Edmonton because they did put up more of a fight this game than the last. Most likely
Mm.
because Alfonzo Davies was there visiting the team, taking pictures with everyone. It's good to see him back in our country. Um, but in terms of how the game went, could have been better. They in the 70th minute looked 2-0, looked dead and buried, but in the 74th with a penalty where Chesky was able to make it just a one-goal game. And you're thinking, okay, so I'm a coach, right? So if we're down 2 and we get 1, I'm like, okay, it's a lot easier. We have the momentum now coming into the last 10 minutes of the game. Last 10, 15 minutes, all we need is 1 goal. And then who knows what can happen after that. But instead of that, Luke Singh, who I believe is on loan from Toronto FC,
Gets a
gets
red.
gets a red card and completely just stops any chance of
Yep.
them from coming back. So when good things happen for Edmonton, and then one thing just brings them back down to earth. Gotta feel
Yeah,
for them.
that's and he is on loan from TFC, and I feel like there was a lot of expectations of him in the beginning of TFC, and then he kind of didn't wasn't able to break in through the MLS squad and
Mm-hmm.
getting an opportunity as at CPL. But a red card on that moment of the game, it's definitely not something
No, it's
you
gotta
want
hurt.
it, your teammates want it, and yeah. Well, too bad for Edmonton. Not gonna say I'm sad about it, but too bad for Edmonton.
Yeah, that's really just too bad. That's okay, because that's
I
pretty.
I still think they're gonna get a 1 win by the end of the season, though.
That's right. They still haven't won a game. Oh my gosh, that's right. That is so poor. Like I know like Edmonton has their issues with like ownership groups. I mean, at the moment, I think the league owns them in terms of because they don't have any actual owners because their owners I believe left them if I remember correctly. So the league stepped in to make sure that they don't liquidate and just disappear as a club, which is really sad because like there's some clubs like Cavalry and Halifax and Pacific who have such great fan bases and such loyal fan bases that even if like the league were to collapse, there would still be a way to, you know, for these teams they would find a way because the want and need is there. But for clubs like FC Edmonton, I don't know what it's like for Valor if they have a loyal fan base or York. York's another actually sorry. FC Edmonton and York are probably the two that if something bad were to happen, then I fear for those two teams because there's not exactly like Edmonton averages about 800 people per game, which is
Yep,
nothing.
yep. And
So
their
it's just,
stadium is what's the capacity of Clark Field?
I think it's at least around 5,000. Same with York Lions Stadium. Like it's enough to like be loud and be enough. I mean, look at like even last night against the Whitecaps, we only had about 4,000 people there, and it still was like pretty loud at times. Obviously, we were in the supporters section, but I can imagine that echoed throughout the stadium. But Clark Stadium, it isn't. It's not suited for whatever sport they're trying to make
Yep,
it for. Like it's definitely not for football. That's for sure. The stands are too far back, especially the one on the end on the left side. It's way too far back, so you can't get any connection with the players or anything like that. So they need something needs to happen, and I'm glad I'm not the person in charge because I wouldn't know what to do with that organization.
yep.
But anyway, we'll move on and we'll talk about the Canadian Championship, which is the exciting thing that happened this week. So, whoa, jeez, I just messed up. Crap. So in the Canadian Championship, the first matchup was York versus Atlantico Ottawa.
Yep.
No, was it? No, no, no. It was York and Pacific. York and Atlantico Ottawa was last week. My bad. I got it mixed up because they went to penalties and they went to penalties again last night or not last night. Sorry, the Tuesday. This is
Yeah,
Tuesday.
York and Pacific. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was the penalty game. I mean, there were
yeah.
two penalty games,
There
but
was two penalties, but
that
that was
was
the
the one that
round.
you know. What's the name of the goalie for York? Like Nick, he played for Cavalry before too. He was
Ingham.
on loan.
Oh no, sorry, Nico Giansopoulos who saved.
Yeah, because he was on loan for he went fulfill the Whitecaps squad for the
Yeah.
MLS game on the weekend because they were out of goalies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they needed two goalies. He was the bench one,
Yeah.
and then he stayed in BC, flew to the island.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, game was quite interesting, the 2-2, but I think he catched the two penalties or three penalties.
I think
So
so.
that's
Yeah,
solid.
no. So what a yeah, exactly. Like what a 7 days because what
Two
he
penalties.
played on the weekend, called up to Whitecaps, and then came and won the penalties for York in midweek.
Yep.
Like not much topside in terms of Canadian football, in terms of what you can do as a player. Obviously winning the league, but as an individual player looking to further their career, nothing much happens other than that. So York moves on, which is I think good for the league because it's someone new now. York United, I think that's the furthest they've ever gone in this competition into
Yep.
semifinals. So that's well done to York for doing that. Like I
And it's the
said,
only
very
CPL
exciting
team
team.
there now, so
Yeah,
yeah, the only.
well, exactly because they'll be playing the Whitecaps now, as we'll get on to, which means that the Whitecaps are coming all the way over to York region in Ontario to play. I think has that been established yet? The home teams yet for that game? 'Cause I would hope that it's at
I
York Line.
I think it has been, and I think they play home. And no, sorry, I think that Vancouver plays home and Toronto plays home, both.
Really?
So yeah, at least like
Yeah, they
online
do.
when they
Yeah.
announce on Canada, at least on the Instagram for Canada Soccer, they're both of those clubs are on
Yeah,
the
that's
top
right. That's my bad. That's too bad.
usually.
I was hoping that it'd be hosted at York because they everyone knows they need the fans and need the
Yeah,
support. So that's too bad.
aren't they building like a new stadium and a whole like revamping process on?
I think so. I think York Line
Oh,
Stadium is just a because it's the university stadium there, so it's just
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like just for now.
Mm,
Yeah. So and
cool.
then obviously Toronto beat Halifax Wanderers, which it was close. It got close. Salter equalized in the 69th minute, or
Yeah,
sorry, yeah, the 69th minute,
and
and
Toronto play bad, man.
yeah, no,
To be honest, like I was hoping they would lose the game because I don't know. It's just like
Mhm.
they didn't deserve it to win. They won because of course there are a big difference in investment and quality for
Yeah,
certain players from the CPL to the MLS, and that's visible when you're watching the game.
yeah,
But they didn't play a football that you're watching. You're like, oh yeah, that's a good football that deserves to win, right?
mhm,
So
yeah. Well, even watching the game last night, like, you could tell the Whitecaps just move the ball
same, yeah,
around just a little bit more snappy, like, there's just a bit more purpose and drive to them, which should be the case, like, not saying that the CPL is bad or anything, but a team that's been around for, what, like, 40 years, something like that?
yeah,
Like, they should be much better than us, so but it was good to see
yeah.
Halifax actually outshot them, not on target, but they did outshoot them. They 14 shots to 7. I mean, for a CPL club, that's good, but it's too bad for Halifax. They've lost twice in a row now there, which I think is the
Mm.
first time that's ever happened that they've lost at home twice in a row. Obviously, MLS side and two-time two-time champions in Forge, but still nonetheless, it's like they're losing a little bit of power at home. But so that was the match day on Tuesday. Finally, we'll quickly go through last night because it should be fresh in everyone's minds. Montreal took out Forge with relative ease and a hat trick for Sunasi Ibrahim as well. So watch out for that name because he's fantastic. Obviously, scoring a hat trick is
Yeah.
obviously something big. And then lastly, last night ended in heartbreak, the game that me and Felipe went to. Meyer Bevan, like we said before, scored an absolute banger into the top right corner, worthy of a win in the Canadian Championship, but it wasn't meant to be as Vancouver. I actually haven't seen that goal that they scored. Was it an own goal or was it an actual goal from their player?
It looks like even on looking on the replay, it's like really fast. I do
Mm-hmm.
think that he had it, but like he was facing back to the goal,
Mm-hmm.
and then he hits him. And I don't think that was a foul. Some of the players complained during the game that maybe that was a push, but
Yeah.
it looks clean. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like bad defense on the corner kick. Like they
Yeah.
should have had someone to follow the player and not the ball, and not let
Yeah.
it him goes to the ball first. So. But yeah, it is what it is. Like the penalties were disappointing, but penalties are it's a lottery, right? Like in the end of the
Yeah.
day, like we don't know what it's gambling. Like we don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the Cavs players are pretty good penalty taking. Ali missed his penalty, but in the end of the day, that's what being a player is. You got to take those responsibilities, and
Yeah.
it sucks. But uh, none of the goalies got a penalty beside the one that got Ali, right? Every other
Yeah.
ball went in. They were good penalty shots. But I don't know. I just felt like the second half, Cavs actually played much better than the Whitecaps, and
Yeah. I'd say so.
like an MLS team has like $5 million for salary cap,
Mm,
besides the players that they can play above salary cap with the league exemption.
yeah.
So it's almost like that's not even comparable to the salary cap would have, for example, for a team in CPL.
Mm,
So yeah, I cannot understand why they wouldn't be up to the same quality and etc. So I'm pretty proud of the Cavs, but I'm also like disappointed at the Whitecaps, and I really hope they don't make to the finals because they don't deserve it. Same as
yeah.
TFC. So I really hope the final will be like York and Montreal. There will be a
I think
much interesting final from my
yeah.
standpoint than
I think yeah. I'd probably say that's too bad that it couldn't be in terms of just variety Vancouver York in the final
yeah,
because then it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
two like East versus West sort of thing, and then Vancouver's never in it. It's always Toronto, and Montreal in it,
yeah.
but that's okay. I think if I would hope that it's a York Montreal, mostly because Montreal is the best team
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
Canada. That's without a question.
And they are playing well. Like you look at them on MLS on Canadian Championship, like they are playing well. So
Yeah,
that's what you expect from a winner.
yeah, exactly. So that's our little rundown of everything that's happened in the past week. So we're just gonna quickly now go over something exciting. The squad to face who is it? Honduras? No. Who the Nations League. CONCACAF Nations
We're
League.
facing Curacao, which is an
Yeah,
island in
Crocker.
the Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Curacao or Curacao, I don't know how to say the name.
Yeah,
And then,
however you would say that.
and I think that, I mean,
We should have one more.
we were playing Iran in a friendly, which they cancel,
Yeah.
as we were talking earlier.
And Honduras. Yeah, Krakow and Honduras.
Yeah,
Honduras is on the 13th. So it would have
Honduras.
been June 5th against Iran, then the 9th, and then the 13th for Nations League. But obviously, the game being canceled due to political reasons, it's not going to happen, which is too bad because we love watching our football and we hate when it gets
Yeah,
canceled. No matter for whatever reason it is, no one likes it when it's canceled. So a bit too bad. But obviously, out of Soccer Canada's hands now. I'm sure they were pressured by the government, but it is at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that's okay because we still got two games and a banger squad. I'll give my highlights on the squad, and then Felipe was gonna give his highlighted players that he wants to talk a bit more about. Because I'm just gonna go over the popular names. The name that the first name everyone looked for on the list is Alfonzo Davies because with
yeah,
his
yeah.
myocarditis, he wasn't able to play and qualify, but yet he was there watching it during the entire run. So it's good to see him back. It's very nice to see him kind of back amongst the fray, get warmed up for the World Cup, warmed up for another season at Bayern Munich. And the second name that I want to mention is Dane Sinclair. He's been fantastic for Minnesota in net.
Uh,
If anyone likes watching MLS, try and watch Minnesota United and Dane St. Clair. In terms of statistics and everything, he's right up there with Maxime Crepeau, who's been in the Canadian squad forever. Dane St. Clair is a lot younger. I think he's 21, something around there.
yeah, he's quite young.
Yeah, he's quite young, which means that, when Milan Borjan eventually retires, maybe after this World Cup, who knows what his plans are, because as we've seen on the weekend, he's still a kid at heart scoring scoring a penalty. Um, but it's good to see that we have an up-and-coming keeper.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Bojan scored the penalty. That was crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
first goal in his career, right? So,
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
um, I don't know what did they just let him take it for for a reason, or was he pressing for it? I don't know.
I think they had already won the league before they clinched the league. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it was already 2-1. They're like, why not? Kind of Sunday league stuff, but hey, it's Serbia,
Have
right?
you seen a goalie scoring live in a game?
No, Never.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. Against
Actually,
my team, and for my team. Yeah, Brazil had that during the 90s and 2000s. We had that goalie, which is the goalie that scored most goals in history. He has over 100 goals as a pro
whoa,
player. He won the World Cup in 2002 for Brazil. He was a bench goalie. His
huh?
name is Rogério Ceni. I'll send you a YouTube link after.
Yeah,
And then you can look like he was a great foul kicker, like a free kicker, and he even
yeah.
scored goals that like corner kick goals. He was nuts, man. He was nuts,
Huh,
and
that's kind of
his
cool.
accuracy is probably one of the greatest free kickers that I've seen it before.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's interesting.
that's good.
That's why I asked about Bojan because I was like, is he
Yeah,
practicing or they just gave him as a gift? You know?
yeah. I think it was probably just a gift.
Yeah, but I kind of like Dane Sinclair. I think like Crepo, it is a goalie that has been in the squad for a little while. Is that how you spell his last name? Crepo? I think it's the right spelling in French.
Yeah, I think it's French Canadian. So
So yeah, he did a good job. The Whitecaps, like he's in LA right now, doing a good job too. He just one of the things that I don't like a lot about him, it's he is short for a goalie, right? And then a lot of goalies nowadays, they, with all the respect to short goalies out there,
hmm
but he's my height, like about 6 foot, 1 foot tall, and it's like, like Dane Sinclair, it's a big guy, like he's on the
yeah,
6'3", long wingspan, like more athletic. So that's why I like him more. He's just younger. Kerpoor
yeah,
already has the experience, which helps a goalie position themselves better, right? But when it comes about athleticism, jumping, impulsion, wingspan, like everything, like Kerpoor is behind him.
yeah,
That's my opinion, right? As an athlete, I
yeah,
think Dane Sinclair
yeah,
is a better goalie.
yeah.
He
That's
just
fair.
needs to
So
get to that level, keep
yeah,
performing
he's more
well,
experienced
and
playing.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's the kind of goalie I think he has potential to even go to Europe if he keeps doing well. So
probably.
yeah.
A lot, yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting to see and watch to follow his career. And it's so young, and now that people are now watching Canadian players, it'll be good for his career. His career to take off.
Yep.
But what are your highlights? Who do you like seeing on this squad?
Well, I really like seeing Scott Kennedy. 30 plus matches starting for a team that was playing second division in Germany. Like they played the German Cup too, and it wasn't a team that had a good season so far. So he had
Yeah,
to deal with a really exposed defense, and he averaged a solid amount of tackles per game. Not a lot of red cards, you know what I mean? And like even
yeah,
yellow cards, he was pretty solid. So pretty consistent for a defender. And I think it's worth it for us to invest on a talent like that. Thinking about 2026 as well.
yeah,
I know this World Cup we can play even Atiba, improvise him. You know what I mean? Improvise a guy like Alistair Johnson, if
yeah.
depending if we play with a line of three on the back or something like that, we can do that. But thinking ahead, we should be evolving athletes so we can keep going to each World Cup. And Scott
Mhm.
Kennedy is young, right? He's left-footed, so perfect bench for like a guy
Perfect.
like Kamal Miller,
Yeah.
to play on the CB left side of the defense. So
Oh, he's
I
taller
like.
than Kamal, right?
Sorry.
He's taller than Kamal, isn't he? Because I know
Absolutely,
Kamal Miller
Kamal is
being
short,
shorted. Yeah.
right? Like that's. I feel like that's one of his downsides. He hustles a lot. He's quick, positions himself well. He doesn't get a lot of ball on his back because he runs really well. I think he's the
hmm
Jamaican blood in him. Has the Usain Bolt a bit of in him. But he's short. He's short for
Yeah.
a defender, especially to play a World Cup level. But yeah, I'm happy with Scott Kennedy, and I'm happy with us trying to snag an American talent and seeing if it
hmm
works out. So what's his name again? Luca
Luca
Koleosho.
Goliosho.
I'll be completely honest with you, never watch him play, right? Like we're doing a post tomorrow that I will talk about him and stuff. And
Yeah.
I did some research on it, and it's quite interesting career. Like, played U14, U16 for US, like youth academy program. And then he ended up going to Spain to a smaller club, went to the academy for Espanyol, which is a club in Barcelona, the second largest club in Barcelona after Barcelona.
hmm
And he played his first pro match last week, so on La Liga. And he is 17 years old,
That's
2004
exciting.
kid, so quite young. Worth it to invest. Don't know if we have a 23 players squad for the World Cup. Don't know if he will fit because I would rather bring a guy like Iki that's already performing at like,
Oh, sorry.
you know, It's all
Yeah.
good. Like League A in France, right?
Yeah.
Or like Lauren or Jonathan David. Of course, it's competitive,
Yeah.
but he plays a left winger, right? So maybe it's a player that we can have as the bench for Alfonso Davies on the left winger there.
Yeah. Who knows?
But
Or
yeah,
something different. Yeah.
I think he's competing for a spot right now, like with a player that's not on the list, which is Liam Miller. Liam Miller will play on a similar position than him.
Yeah.
And Liam Miller is not on this list, and he is. So I feel like that's the kind of spot that he's taking it at the moment. It's a test.
Hmm.
I like Liam Miller. He's doing well in Switzerland, but it costs nothing to try a guy that's willing to turn down.
Yeah.
His
Exactly.
I think his father and mother is Canadian. His someone like Italian and Canadian parents. He
Yeah.
born in the U.S., right? But he's willing to play for Canada. So I think we should invest on the talent. It's just the
Yeah.
idea that don't know if it's 2022 or if it's 2026 kind of
Yeah.
player. So
That'll be
we'll see.
interesting to see.
Yeah. So those are my two kind of who I liked it a lot.
Yeah. No, I think that's great what you touched on because there's so many options for Luca for him to go and for him to choose Canada just to see what it's like means a lot. And it's like other players like Marco Flores who declared himself for the Mexican team. I mean, for so
Yeah.
long, everyone talked about him like, will he represent Canada or our journey to try and get him or and at the end of the day, I don't think he ever wanted to play for Canada. He always wanted to play for Mexico, which is fair. Even after we beat Mexico, he still he still showed up to like under 19 Mexican stuff and whatnot. So the fact that I think we should just stop focusing on players like them and
Yeah.
focus on players that actually have a genuine interest in wanting to be a part of this Canadian project. Because in my eyes, if I'm John Herdman and I'm thinking ahead, I'm obviously thinking about this World Cup, but I'm also putting in pieces now so that whether still the head coach, whether John Herdman still is the head coach in 2026 or not, that's 4 years away. We can all speculate,
Or
but
Ancelotti, who knows?
Orange. Oh, don't even get me dreaming. But he's putting in pieces now, like a Luca Kolyosho or a Brim or a Ike Ugbo, like those players, so that now they get bled in now, so then get a bit of experience, so then they're on the path to become like these standout players in the next World Cup, or
Yep.
be the younger players who've already been to a World Cup before. Like for example, Kylian Mbappe. Not comparing them to him, but the fact that Kylian was at such a young age at a World Cup already, playing well. Now when he goes to the next World Cup, he's going to be even better because he doesn't have to settle in. All the
I
nerves that
hope
he had
not.
then are gone, and he's going to be absolutely incredible. Thank goodness we don't have France as a group. We have Belgium, which I think is still incredibly hard. I, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'd rather face Belgium than France. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. France is probably the only team I feel like, I'm gonna cheer for Canada, and I told you that, but
Yeah.
I'm also cheering for Brazil since I'm from there originally.
Oh, it
So
makes
those are
sense.
my
Yeah.
two national teams, and I really hope they maybe clash with each other. Like, who knows? That'll be actually really fun. I wouldn't pick a winner. I would just watch it with pleasure, and whoever wins, I'm happy. But
Yeah.
France is the only team I don't want to play into the finals because
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. It's tough. Like they do have. It's not just Mbappe, right? We're talking about like Kante and quite a
Yeah.
few other players performing at a really high level. So
Yeah.
Benzema, man, like Benzema is the best player in the
Yeah.
world right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
it's
No,
like
you're right. Yeah. 100%. I agree.
it is not like it is not the kind of team you want to play against. But I've that's one of the things I've been noticing, like with my experience watching World Cups. First World Cup that I watched 1998, don't remember much as a kid. First World Cup I remember well, 2002. Every World Cup one that is like a team that people think that they're gonna be the top team in the World Cup,
Yeah.
they usually never win. Um, I don't know why. Like that is usually that.
Well, that was
Like
like
you
2014. Everyone thought Brazil was going to win it. At least
or
that in my
Argentina.
circles,
Argentina
yeah.
was playing
Or
Roacho,
Argentina as
Messi was
well. That's
speaking,
right.
and
Yeah.
then Argentina made all the way to the final. Brazil made to the semifinals, but nope,
Well, you,
nothing
you say
happened.
that you say Argentina made it. Messi made it to the finals.
Yeah, yeah, we
They
can
carried
say
that
that.
team.
Yeah, absolutely,
I feel I,
absolutely.
I do feel for Messi a little bit on that. Obviously, you might not because you're a Brazilian fan and the rivalry and
No,
whatnot.
I mean I
But
like Messi as a player. Um, I don't think Argentina was good enough to win, so that's why I didn't cheer
No.
for them.
Oh, it's
Um,
Germany.
it was
The
salty for
team.
me to cheer for Germany too, right? Because they beat us 7-1 in the semifinals, and it's like,
That's true.
how you, do you feel happy cheering for a team that just kicked your butt for 7 goals in a
Yeah.
semifinal for World Cup? Everyone's bullying you. You're gonna become a meme for like the next 10 years, and it's
Yeah.
like, are you gonna cheer for the team? But are you gonna cheer for your main rival? So that was a tough situation to the point that I didn't even want to watch the finals. It was probably the first World Cup final that I didn't watch like with joy. I was just like,
Mm.
but it is what it is. But you're right. France Mbappe had the experience at 19, World Cup winner. You
Mhm.
expect him to come with a winner mentality and even more like a beast. But
Yeah.
you never know if France is gonna come as favorite like they are right now. I don't know if they're gonna win. I
Yeah.
think
I
there are
don't.
other teams there that are quite dangerous.
Yeah. There's something about it. Like there's something about France. I don't think. I just don't think they will. Maybe in a future podcast we can chat about
Yeah,
what group
absolutely.
we expect from and whatnot. So, but no, honestly, I think this squad is most of most of these players that we see here are going to be in that squad. Most of them.
Yeah,
The only
yeah. I
ones,
feel like
yeah,
no, I was gonna say I feel like a couple players might not be here. A couple players that we are definitely seeing tests, like Luca Leo, we're seeing a test right now. But I
yeah,
also feel like Hareen Edwards that plays for Galaxy is on the
yeah.
list right now. I think that Herdman's gonna try him as a left back
Yeah, you
because
think?
he did like he hasn't scored a single like he's only assisting this season. Hasn't scored a single goal. It's like 4 assists the whole season in 20 plus games,
It's not bad.
or 15 plus games. No, no, not bad. But I think he's playing more as a left winger, like left back kind of
Mm,
position, instead of being like an offensive left winger, like a middle left winger.
yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like he actually might test him on that position because if you look at the list, we only have Akadup. How do you say his last name?
Oh
Adekube?
wait, yeah,
Adekube.
Adekugbe. Yeah,
Yeah, we only have Adekube as a fullback on the left side. We know
yeah,
Richie Laria can do the left side.
yeah,
But we only have him and Alistair Johnson for the right side. So I'm assuming because Davis doesn't play left back for national team, so I'm assuming that most
yeah.
likely we're gonna try Edwards on that position.
Yeah, the only time I could see him playing left back would be against Belgium, in order because Belgium have a couple wingers that are like
Yep.
pacey, and just having Alfonso Davies there just to like protect that pace. Let's say Kamal Miller, maybe not Kamal Miller, but Steven Vittoria is there, and he gets beaten or there's a through ball, then Davies is there to like save our butts essentially.
Yep.
So no, I think it'll be interesting to see. Most of these players will be there. A couple tests, like you said, but I think it's just let's just go have fun watching them play these next two games for the Nations League. I mean, who cares if we
Yeah.
win it? Honestly,
Yeah. Absolutely.
let's just
And
watch these young players.
good to see Buchanan again. I
Yeah,
mean, uh, should highlight he just won his second national title in a row in
yeah, that's right.
US before MLS, and now he won in Belgium, right? So congrats to him. It's good to see. It's good to see Canadian like players keep winning on the first divisions in Europe. So
Yeah, no,
interesting.
it's awesome. Yeah,
And then this upcoming weekend, Laria plays. We hope he plays, but that's the last game
Mhm.
for Nottingham Forest. So if
Yeah, on
they're playing
Sunday. That's right.
Huddersfield, if they win, they'll go to the Premier League. If they don't, they out. So
That's
let's
cool.
all
I
cheer
love watching
for
those games.
Nottingham Forest and hope that we have a Canadian in the Premier League next year. Hope we have
Yeah,
more, but it will be kind of like secured already.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, no. So that's pretty much wraps up our middle section there. We're just gonna go quickly wrap up with our weekend predictions, like we always do. Okay, spicy games coming up. I'm gonna write down our guesses again. So first game, Pacific FC at home to Valor FC. Valor's just to refresh everyone's minds. Valor's come off a heartbreaking loss. Thought they had a point. They didn't because Cavalry had other plans. And Pacific FC, well, they did just come off a Canadian Championship loss, but it was on penalty, so kind of emotions, whatnot, different players playing. So what do you think scores for this?
Um, Tough match. I think it's gonna be a tie, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. But a tie with goals, not a boring tie. So like a 1-1, a 2-2. That's what I have for this game.
Okay. Okay.
And that's
So we
me
can
being a
go.
Cavs fan right now, because I could say they're gonna get beaten because they are disappointed at the result from the week, like I am.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were getting their stuff together, like they've been improving the past few weeks before
Mhm.
this game of Whitecaps, which let's be honest, they didn't play bad, assuming those conditions against an MLS team.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like if they're able to control the mental side, they should be able to keep executing what they've been doing it. And a result, a York, like a tie with York there, a tie with Forge there, a tie with Halifax, it's usually a good result away. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
No.
not that York has a lot of fans, but they have a good team, right? So
Yeah. No. I think they deserve. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a Pacific win. I think they'll beat
oh,
them.
are you talking about Pacific and Valor?
Yeah. Who are you? Oh,
I
you're
was
thinking
talking
your
about
York Cavs, eh?
I was thinking about York and Cavs. So I was saying that York and Cavs is gonna be a tie. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll write that down. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that, bro. So if we talk about Pacific and Valor, I'll go for Pacific.
Pacific. Yeah.
Pacific missed a huge opportunity of winning York. As we mentioned last week, the conditions were better for them. York had to travel York, like Toronto to Halifax,
That's
to
right.
play on a rainy day in Halifax, to come back and stop in Toronto for 2 days and fly all the way to BC, practice for a day to play in the
That's
next
tough.
day. Um, I don't know. I just feel like they missed the opportunity of beating York on the game, and then they got kicked out from
Hmm.
York in the middle of the weekday. They're the
Yeah.
leaders. They should be proving themselves. I think they're gonna win this match,
No, I'm gonna. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
and it's gonna be
Uh.
sucks for Valor because I feel like they were having a good season, and losing 2 games in a row will pull them down.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. I think. Let me just double check. But I thought that. I thought that. Let me go my app. The app that I have is called FOTMob, and it basically. Sorry, FOTMob. I talked too fast. It
What
basically.
mob?
Yeah, FOTMob. Whatever. It's. I think it's FOT. Anyway.
Okay.
Maybe I just can't speak English. You speak more languages than me, so maybe you just know more. But
Yeah, but you're definitely better in English than I am.
so basically, you'll look on the fixture that's coming up, and if you go to head, it basically tells you like past like out of how many times they've played in the league, um, who's won and what. And this is why I picked Pacific FC, is because in my mind I remembered Pacific FC usually beats Valor if I remember correctly, and if I go back there, out of the 12 times they've met, Valor has only won one game.
Yeah.
They've drawn one game, and Pacific FC has won 10. So that's just in terms of those statistics. They win 83% of the time. So for all you statistics heads out there, there you go. Next game though, it's York versus Cavalry, which is also lopsided. Cavalry's won 7 out of 10. They've drawn 2, and York finally have won one game. But like you said, draw. I think that's definitely realistic. But you know, I don't know. I think Cavalry's gonna be hungry to win, especially after the loss against Vancouver, being so heartbroken about it.
I
Like, I
hope
mean,
that
it
happens.
was heartbreaking. So I think they'll be out for blood, and I think they'll beat York.
I'll cheer against my prediction,
I
but
like that.
I
I
will
like that.
still go for the tie. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Okay, now FC Edmonton versus Forge. Kind of an easy one, don't you think? I don't want to be too mean. I'm gonna give Edmonton the benefit of the doubt and say a draw.
I'm gonna give Edmonton a win
Ooh,
just
okay.
because I'm tired of being right on the predictions, and I might be wrong this time. Just kidding. I want
Yeah.
Edmonton people to like us a bit. Otherwise,
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's
we're
fair.
only gonna get people following us from other provinces, Calgary and Alberta. Like they're gonna ignore us because
Yeah, but
we're
I
being
think
too mean to them.
But it takes Forge a while to get into a game, and they've just lost 3-0 to Montreal. So I feel like
Yep.
if FC Edmonton can hold on just enough and disrupt them and sit like in a low block the entire time, there's chance for it. There's definitely a chance
Yeah.
for them to do something against Forge because
Hey
Forge
man,
isn't.
like
Yeah,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying Forge doesn't. They don't feel like the first two seasons where they just like they show up and, or maybe not the first two seasons, the second and third season where they just show up and win. That feels a little bit different. They're a bit more. They're a bit weaker than normal. They're still strong, but still weaker.
Yeah, like I don't know. The league is at the stage that if you actually get to watch some of the games, the last team and the first team, they're still quite competitive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, we had Halifax losing by a lot of goals recently, but it's tough for us to see that disparity on CPL teams. Like, even a team that sometimes lose 3 goals, on the second times they meet, they might tie, they might win 1-0.
Yeah,
So, like that. That's the good of this league. It is competitive. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I'll be completely honest with you. Watching the Whitecaps play yesterday, if they play like that often, or if that squad, and they can play the CPL, they would have also a hard time. It wouldn't be easy for them to win. I'll tell you
yeah.
that.
No.
Not with the squad they played yesterday, the style they played yesterday. Of course, they can be better than that. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying, by what we watched yesterday and by what we watched from TFC against Halifax, those teams would also have a hard time on CPL. They would lose games, they would tie, they wouldn't win every single game and win undefeated. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I
No.
truly like the league because of that, and I feel that it's about time for Edmonton to win. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
We can finally.
That's why I'm gonna from now on I'm gonna start cheering for Edmonton to have one win. That's it.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, and
Yeah.
then I don't know. Is that the last game of the round?
No, I wouldn't say no. Valor plays twice this round because they have that game
Catch.
that they missed to catch up. So they play Atletico Madrid, and it's a bye week for Halifax. So Valor Atletico. I'm gonna go. I think Valor's. Yeah,
Me too.
Valor's gonna win. They beat them last time,
Yep.
but I think they'll beat them again.
Game is in Winnipeg too.
That's a good point. Yeah, they do play better at home typically.
Like I'll tell you one of the things that I don't think we ever discussed that here, but a lot of the fields in Canada, you have a mix. Like yesterday, I was taking a look at that. The Cavalry, the Cavs field, it's hybrid. It's not like artificial completely. They do have real grass.
Yeah.
Um, it might be hybrid, like it might have a mixed grass,
No,
but
it's pure grass.
you can see pure grass. It's turf.
Yeah.
But then you go play at Manitoba or in Winnipeg, it is completely artificial. So
Yeah.
as you know, could you played before, there is a difference on the speed of the
Very
ball
different. Yeah.
and the style of game or the way that the passes should be run. Even the way you run, like of course you don't know, but there is different frictions. So in the
Hmm.
end of the day, I feel like that's a key point for Valor because that's their home. They're used to it. They practice on the U of M, University of Manitoba, like facility, which is right by the field, which has the same material, was built by the same company. I've been there, so it's
Yeah.
almost like I think that's what makes that field more special for them. Um, and because they don't put a lot of fans in the stadium, but they do
No.
make sure that the field is always taking care of it, and
Yeah.
like I said, is different for the Cav teams playing there. They will have a harder time with the speed of the ball. So
Yeah. For those on real grass like Halifax and Cavalry, it's
yeah,
definitely a lot harder. Yeah.
I don't know
So
about other teams, York, Pacific, etc. I don't know how they're
mm,
if it's turf or fake, but
I'm not sure
I
about York.
know.
Everywhere else is artificial though.
Okay, okay,
Yeah. I think, but they're usually different artificial turf though. Like there's different companies, so obviously like here in Calgary, there's a high school called Ernest Manning. That field, it's like there's barely any turf or sorry rubber, like the little rubber bits. There's barely anything of that on that one. It's very short, so the ball travels super fast. But then you go to a place like Shoaldice Athletic Park, where there's a lot of that turf stuff, and the grass is a little bit longer because I think it's used more for
yeah,
football. So it's like the ball bounces more, and it even when you pass it perfectly on the ground, there's still a little bounce to it, where on the other pitches it isn't. So there's different artificial turf acts differently, which sucks,
yep,
but
cool.
it's Canada.
No, and man, like we got to think about the weather, right? How much money and infrastructure you have to invest to keep the turf alive all year
Yeah.
round and maintain it. Like you need to have a cover, you need to have the right equipment for. The main reason I think why the Cavs have that field in turf, it's because where the stadium is built, it's a
Hmm.
place used to maintain turf for the past
Yeah.
40, 50 years, which is a horse tracking like facility, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they
So
already
like
had the hookup for the infrastructure there.
Yeah,
But if
and
they
it's
were to play at the Stampeders, like at the
yeah,
CFL
yeah,
stadium, I think it would be artificial as well.
yeah. No, I've been on the stamp or on the McMahon Stadium's turf a bunch of times, and it's like it's turf. Like it's nothing special, and yeah, that Spruce
Yep.
Meadows where Cavalry play, it's world renowned. So they definitely have a lot of money, a lot more money to put into it and whatnot, and to they can cover the cost in terms of fixing the turf and make it look really nice. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it is. Yeah. So that basically wraps up the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed and got a little bit something out of it, learned a little bit more. Um, Make sure to check out all the other stuff on the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Anything for you, Felipe, before we leave?
No, just
Perfect.
hit that subscribe
Oh yeah,
button
there you give him a
down
little
low.